every single person listening to this knows the thing that they're avoiding, that they have been procrastinating, that they need to do. They know what that is for themselves. It's literally just doing that. That one thing may just take an hour of their time, but what that does is it leads to something else. I think that we're all drawn to do this thing because that will lead us to that thing. And we always have the option to not do it. But if our intuition is saying, you should do this, there's usually a reason. Every single thing in my life that has happened has been caused from me taking some sort of action that then has led to the next and the next and the next, but you have to be willing to do it. Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to another episode here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast, where today I wanted to share with you a podcast episode where I was actually the guest on my friend Adam's The One Time podcast while I was in New York City about a month or a month and a half ago. And it was such a good conversation, and I feel like I got to share my story in a different way than I potentially have previously on this podcast, both from the beginning of my time moving to Los Angeles at a very young age and navigating my entire journey, and him sharing some of his experiences, and we just dive into a bunch of really fun topics. And so I thought I would share it with you, and if you enjoy the podcast, then you could go check out his other episodes on the One Time podcast, because he interviews a lot of interesting and fun guests. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we gotta challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time. Hello, Adam.
Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for coming on. For the listeners, we met about 2.5 years ago, randomly at Jungle Gym in Tulum. And from the moment I met you, I was drawn to you. You have an amazing energy. You are fun, interesting, curious, super intelligent. And over the last few years, we've stayed connected. You're an inspiration, and I'm stoked to chat with you. Every time I spend time or energy around you, it's you lift people up. So yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. That was so kind. And you have an incredible energy as well. I'm so excited to be on this podcast. I'm so proud to see everything that you're doing in your life right now. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it's just a boy with ADHD just figuring it out. Yeah, it's good. So who are Sean Paul and Jay Sean to you? That
was the first music video I ever was a part of when I first came to LA. I came to LA to pursue dance, and I wanted to be a background dancer for a bunch of artists, and that was the first opportunity I got, and I got to bring my friend, and it was so fun. Nice. But those two, they're not really anything specifically for me, but I just had such a good experience. It was so fun. I was like, oh my God, I made it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's pretty big. So
I mean, we were just like dancing in the background. It wasn't, but I felt it at the time.
Hey,
I was like,
I made it. Yeah. Yeah. So how long into that was that job from when you landed?
It was not too long after. I got the opportunity pretty soon after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, when you are in LA, when you come to LA, compared to Denmark, which is where I'm from, everyone is so open and outgoing, and you just meet people everywhere that you go. So you make connections so fast that, then they're like, oh, you're a dancer. Okay, well, I know this friend who's like hiring for this music. Like, it's just like things just happen. I feel like you found that too when you came to New York, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, things just happen.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd love to understand that whole beginning of your journey. So you moved from Denmark to LA with just no money and a dream. So
I mean, I had savings.
A little bit of savings?
I saved up, What
did you save up, out of curiosity? How much did you save up before you took the leap?
I think I saved up, was it like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. But I know that I lived on, I think it was $5 $5 a day on food. And we had a lot of ramen and pasta. And when I was like being good, I could have like canned vegetables and tuna. It was a lot of that.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
$5 a day is not much.
No. And first I lived at a place called Home for Dancers, which was awesome because I met so many other dancers who were, many of them, further ahead in their careers. I was one of the younger, so like they were older and already had, tried cool things. And then after like 6 months living there, a couple of us moved into an apartment, or 3 girls moved into an apartment, and I was like, can I join? And a few other girls did that as well. And I lived on an air mattress with another girl in another girl's room. And we were like, and there was 3 rooms.
So there were 2 girls in one air mattress.
Yeah. Not the whole time, but at certain parts. Yeah. Because a lot of us were foreigners. So we had to like, leave and come back and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
But I was so happy.
Yeah.
Like so happy. Because I got to be where I wanted to be and dance, and it was just, I was so happy.
So what does that say about happiness and the pursuit of it?
It's the journey. I've found that again and again and again. Every time I've hit one of the goals that I wanted, it's like, it can feel good for a little bit, but every time it's like, okay, now this is my new norm. And really it's the growth, that the journey of getting there that's fun. You know how Tony Robbins is like, growth equals happiness, which by the way, I'm going to a Tony Robbins event tomorrow. That's why I'm in New York. And I just believe that so much. When I'm growing, I'm the happiest. If I ever feel not happy, it's very, very often in correlation with the fact that I have not pushed myself in a way that can allow me to grow.
Okay.
It can also be, obviously relationship issues with whatever that can make you feel, but that's a different type of not happiness, right?
Yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all part of the same journey, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. I was going to ask you about the Home for Dancers thing. That was my other little thing that I had in the back.
God, you did your
and
homework.
I was like, damn it. She said it.
That's amazing. Wow, you're so pro. You're really making me want to level up my podcast. This is great.
Hey, well, that's the goal, right? Everything has improved since I got to New York because of the group of people I spend my time with, and they push me and they challenge me and they'll call me out on when things are shit. And I might get annoyed, but they're right. And you just do better every day.
That is a great group of friends.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's friends or coworkers, but like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
It is.
You really do level up to your surroundings.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find.
Yeah.
It's hard to find people who are on, maybe not in New York, but like
York.
just generally, who are on a growth journey in that way. For me, at least, it has been.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really drew me to New York is there's so many people here and they're so closely knit that it's taken 6 months and I've found the communities, like very different communities, and they're all killers in whatever they do. It's great. So I can hang out with the best in the world in various elements, and we're just chilling and learning and having fun and growing, and it's great.
That's amazing. So how did you start making it? I know many people, at least the people that listen to my podcast, they are always like, but how do I find a community that are also wanting to grow? So what did you do? I have like a specific playbook on moving to a new city. So the playbook is you figure out what your hobbies are. So my hobbies are like, gym, yoga, basketball, like all the wellness stuff. And then you find busy places for each one of them, and you don't bounce around. You find like a good gym that is busy and you lock in and you go there every day. You find a good cafe that's busy, then cool, and you lock in and you go there every day. And you do that with everything.
And eventually, day 1, people ignore you. Day 2, people ignore you. Day 3, you start seeing some regulars and they go, oh, hi, you get a wave. And then day 4, you get a wave and they're like, hey, how are you? And then it's a name, and then it's a who are you? And then next thing you know, you're talking, and then next thing you know, if you're not a psycho, you're getting invited to things, and then that's how it begins. That's it.
That's a good strategy.
Literally it. Just because people come to different places and go, I want to see everything. I want to go to all of the different places. I want to try everything. But if you try everything once, you never really like feel the depth of it. You just kind of are bopping around.
I love that. That's incredible.
Did that in
it's
Tulum?
True.
Did that here? Did that in Melbourne when I moved to Melbourne?
Yeah.
You don't need that many people. You've only got so many hours in the day. So you only need like a handful, half a dozen, and then that just leads you to everything else. You can connect pretty quickly with a lot of other people through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my hot take.
I love that. That's good. It's really good. You got to share that everywhere.
I will.
People need it.
I'll make a podcast. It's on my list of podcast episodes, solo episodes.
I'll listen to it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to you again, because I see the podcaster in you being like, oh, tell me more.
I'm just curious.
I love it. I'm teasing. It's okay. So if you could give an elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, and how you're contributing to the world, what would it sound like?
I'm not good at pitching, but I will try to explain. I have had so many limiting beliefs and thought that I could not do the things that I wanted to do, be the things that I wanted to be. And through self-worth, limiting beliefs, didn't think I was good enough. And through self-work, I have found the most incredible strategies and tools and ways to work around that to completely transform my life. In every way. I'm still on that journey, but
it never ends.
It never ends, yeah. But what I have learned, my mission is to spread that and share that with as many humans in this world as possible.
Great.
Yeah.
How's that mission going so far?
Really well.
Nice.
I feel so fulfilled. Especially this year, I feel like I have gotten to dive deeper with both on my social media, like people hear bits and, people who listen to the podcast or watch my YouTube videos, that's like, or watch a funny something on Instagram, it's like.
You're pretty funny, to be fair.
Thank you. It's like you can touch someone with just like a little like smile, or then you can go like a little deeper, or then I also have a community where people join and where I've gotten this year to go really deep. And that, like having all levels, depending on how far people want to go with me, has been really fulfilling.
Do you do that on school? Oh,
no.
Okay.
I do it on another Solin platform.
What's it called?
Solin.
Okay. Yeah. Out of curiosity, how did you find... how did you develop the confidence to charge for that kind of work? Because I know it's a challenge for a lot of people to just be like, I want to help people, but I also need to eat.
Right. I mean, it was actually really, really cool because I just realized this like a couple of weeks ago. I became a personal trainer first. That was like the first thing I did in this field that I'm in now. And I would charge, I believe it was $50 for a month to like one-on-one train someone online, but still $50 for one-on-one. And I was like, yeah, if I have 4 of them, it's like $200 a month. That's amazing, which it is, right? Like, but today I get to I charge $50 for a month, but where many, many people join my challenges and I found strategies so I'm able to help that many people every month. There's no limits to how many, can join. And I'm in there. Like I am whoever, any message, any question, I'm always like responding to everyone and anyone. But like I have a structured program that then can be personalized. Like I have whether they're working on like they want to learn to love themselves. I have something for that. Nutrition, I have some. So like they can kind of go in and pick. But the fact that I've gone from like one-on-one $50 per month and now having like hundreds of people every month join these challenges is just, I think when you first educate yourself and you want to share whatever it is that you want to share, you start somewhere, right? And then as you grow, so will your prices, I guess, or like the way in which you go about it. So was that kind of an answer?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So starting small and then just building into it over time. And
and like you were saying, you meet people who inspire you to level up in different ways. And I think little by little, going at your own speed.
Yeah. Well, on the note of kind of limiting beliefs and stuff, I'd be keen to understand, limiting beliefs plus the belief in yourself to fuck off to the US by yourself. Like what were the kind of the early years that shaped that direction? Like the confidence, but then also the lack of confidence that needed work, and how we kind of got to that point.
I think I've had confidence in some ways, and then like limiting beliefs in others.
Yeah.
I think I've always had like an intuitive voice that has told me to do certain things. And when that has spoken, I've listened to that. The limiting belief has often been surrounding other people, like feeling not good enough.
Okay.
But what direction I've had to go in my gut has kind of spoken to me. So it's been different types of things, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay, so what was Denmark like for you?
I mean, it was my home.
Yeah.
I feel very lucky that I got to grow up in Denmark. I think it's also my family. Like, I've been very fortunate for many reasons to grow up in like a safe environment and a loving family.
Yeah.
Which each family has their flaws, right? But like in a grounded way, I've felt very safe and secure in my upbringing.
Yeah.
And I think that also does pay into why I've been able and willing to make those like bold moves.
Yeah.
Even though majority of my family, when I first made it to the States, they were like, so when are you going to come home and get an actual education? You know, like they did not really see it. But then for anyone out there who has a dream and they don't feel like their people are supporting them, they don't understand it, they don't have to, because it's your vision, right?
Yeah.
If you can see it, there's something, it's not their vision. So you have to, it's hard, but you have to follow that vision, take that leap, and keep going, because it's going to take years to succeed at anything great, right? But have the persistence to do so, even though the people surrounding you don't understand, because once you do succeed, it's that, oh, of course you were going to make it. We always, that's what you always hear.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just have to be bold enough to trust yourself and do it. And then once you've succeeded at it, then
everyone gets in line.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people are still not going to be supportive, but then at least, you made it. You're like, oh, I did it. You're so proud of yourself for having gone through it. And yeah. Usually the support will come when you show the vision.
When you don't need it anymore.
Yeah. But it's also like, it's part of it, right? It makes you stronger when you go through hard times like that. It really makes you stronger. It helps you build such strong self-belief, which that's why I was talking about like how growth equals happiness. It's like, that's really growth.
Yeah. The challenge. So growth in your mind is dealing with challenging situations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether at the gym or picking the right food or making a life-changing decision.
Sure. For sure. I'm curious about a point you made. You said that you felt really safe and secure in your home life that allowed you to make bolder moves externally. So I know there are a lot of people who don't have secure and safe home lives, and they live in states of fear. What would you say to those people from your experience, but like also acknowledging that there's a very different way of, getting to adulthood than a lot of people? I'm sure you come up with this like all the time. You have people like that come to you all the time.
Yeah. And the thing I feel the need to share right now is that lately, so I have dealt with limiting belief because I've dealt with like unworthiness, not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
Something I've done.
Hold on, there we go.
Sorry.
Now you're.
Recently is in my meditations, I've thought back to the first time in my life where I felt unworthy. And I remember being 6 years old, sitting by the fireplace, having left the dining table where there wasn't space for me. I felt, right? Like I have great parents. My brothers are amazing. I love my family. But every kid deals with, whatever they make up in their minds. And for me, there wasn't space for me because my little brother was loud. My older brother was loud. My dad was maybe busy with work. And my mom was like trying to calm everyone down, make dinner, laundry, like all of that. So when I would say something, no one would listen. It would be like, they would. But now I'm just like talking about like the worst case, right? Like I felt that no one was listening. I was not important. I was not worthy to be heard and seen. And so what I've done in my meditations lately is I've gone into that space in my childhood home, gone over to Pernilla, who was feeling so unworthy, unloved, not safe. And my current self, gone and really hugged and loved on my little younger version of myself, and taken her with me to the dining table where I then would visualize like them actually hearing me, acknowledging that I am good enough. And of course they want to hear me. And then I could like just go through that traumatic, let's call it, this is not a traumatic experience, but you know what I mean? Like this moment in time where I felt unworthy and kind of healing it myself in my meditation, and my current self making my younger self feel like I am good enough, I am safe, I am worthy. And I feel like everyone can do that. Go back to a time in their life where they felt fear or whatever it is that they felt in their childhood home, and current self give that version of themselves love.
Yeah.
And see them and hear them. Yeah. Because if they can do that in their imagination, whenever in their current life they feel that, like, oh, they catch, oh, I feel fearful right now. Oh, where's that stemming from? Why am I feeling that way? Oh, it's because when I was a kid, my dad did so-and-so, or my mom, whatever it is. Yeah. And then they can take care of themselves. Because we are not, like, we have two voices speaking to us, right? Like we maybe have the fearful brain, and then we have the brain, the person that can look at us from above and take care of that feeling, emotion that we may be feeling.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Do you, with that memory, just digging into this a bit more, because I've got some interesting thoughts I want to understand. Was that a memory that you just remembered vividly your whole life, or was this something that you had to kind of just like dig into layer upon layer, and eventually you got to this point where you're like, huh?
Yeah, I think I probably did a guided meditation or listened to a podcast or something where it was asked, like, when was the first time that you felt unworthy, or whatever it was, like, and then I think I probably meditated on it and it came up. Yeah. Because it's come to me like again and again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems as though you're doing cognitive behavioral therapy to yourself, basically, because that's a technique, like a CBT technique, where you take a negative memory and you bring in yourself, who is like a healthy, happy version that can support that vulnerable child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done much of that in a specific clinical setting, or you just kind of stumbled on this?
No, I just...
Literally CBT.
Yeah, okay. Amazing. Have you done it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I've done it with a therapist. So I've done that exact thing.
Amazing. My mom's a therapist, so I do, like, we do some things together sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, super powerful. It was, I don't think I've spent as much time in the visualization world as it seems you have, but there was just one moment where I had a had a memory with Mum, and she we did this whole thing and we rewrote the memory, and it sounded ridiculous in my head, but it lessened the charge ever since. And it was that whole thing. So super powerful. CBT. Yeah. It's interesting that you can do it alone. So that's cool. How did you get to the point where you could process these things on your own? Because it takes a lot. It's not an easy thing to be able to work through that.
I think I I really believe in like, at least I have been my own therapist.
Yeah.
And I even tell myself if I'm ever like wanting to slack off or, you know, something that I promise myself, it's like, no, I'm my own best coach.
Yeah.
I think it started when I started journaling.
Okay.
Because when I write down things, I can see my thoughts from above.
Yeah.
And when I can see my thoughts from above, I can guide myself into better feelings, better thoughts. Mm-hmm. I can see it from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. So I think it's something, that I started when I started journaling. And then I'm such a self-development nerd. Like I just, you know, when you hear something, I get it.
I agree. I'm the same. Yeah. It's like porn. It's literally.
It is my addiction. 100%.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I've begun to, previously it was like, every moment of every day is podcast, audiobook, go. Lately, it's been a complete shift where I just have stopped and it's just like silence and I don't want to listen to anything. I don't want to read anything. I just want to sit because I'm conscious of building the muscle to internalize the solutions in your life instead of constantly having to like reach externally to solve the problems that come up in your life and like your direction. And
are you an extrovert?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like an ambivert. It's not what it's called when you're, but you know how some people, they want to speak out their, you know, when they experience something, they want to talk it out. I'm the opposite. Like I want to go on a walk with myself or like journal or meditate. Yeah. So I think different people work differently, but that's amazing that you've made yourself do that.
Yeah, it's it's just listening to little comments that people have made, or you know, maybe not so ideal decision making, and then I think to myself, well, I'm spending all this time and energy working on myself. Like, why aren't I catching these things better? And then it's like, well, maybe I need to spend less time reading the books and more time integrating.
That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always try to do the same too.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's hard, right? Like or it's a discipline.
Yeah,
like
it's a discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. And taking a step back from things is really difficult in the modern world. So I think that's a really big skill that's worth developing.
Yeah, very much. Like I do it so much so like if I suddenly am like, I was feeling good just 5 minutes ago and now I don't feel good. What happened? Oftentimes I think subconsciously we catch on to things that our consciousness isn't aware of. So like it could have been that, oh, this person made this comment, or this thing didn't go in the way I wanted it to, or I caught a fear. Like I think just like whenever we're feeling something, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Because then often it's like, it's because I sent this message to a friend and they haven't gone back to me and that upset me. Or, you know, it could be the randomest little thing. But then when we can see what actually upset us, then we can be like,
yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, then we can take care of that instead of continuously having this not so good feeling emotion inside of us.
For sure. So how do you then change your state from maybe you've caught the negative emotion and you've understood where it's come from, but it's still there. So what's next to actually?
Different things depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But one thing could be that I'm like, like I just said, like, it's because, let's say the friend didn't respond. Then it can be like, they're probably doing shit right now. Like, sorry, can I?
Yeah, it's fine.
They're probably busy. So and then it's like, then I release it quickly.
And they've been busy for 3 months.
Then maybe that's a sign. But it could also be meditating, journaling on it. For me, sometimes if I don't feel good, it could be just that I need to move.
Yeah. It solves a lot of problems.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like we can make things so big in our heads that when we just move, everything just feels so much better.
Yeah.
So,
I get
movement is big.
Movement helps a lot.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to this passage in, I think it's Letters to a Stoic, Marcus Aurelius, and there's a whole chapter that's just like, if there's something wrong, walk. If you need to work on an idea, walk.
Yeah.
If you've eaten, walk. If you're tired, walk.
Seriously, walking.
like,
I
just
love walking. I love walking. Also, New York is amazing for walking.
Yeah,
it's just
I
a
walk
little
everywhere.
bit too cold right now for my taste.
This is where you're Danish.
But I've gotten used to LA.
Get to bring out that hardness inside of you.
I was actually like thinking, could I live in New York? And I was like debating, yeah, I think I could. But then when I came here, because I've been in New York a couple of times now, it's just like, it's just so cold.
Yeah.
I've been here when it's been warmer, and that's been amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same with Denmark. There's some coziness about that too, right?
Yeah. It's also the like winter fashion's pretty dope here. Like people have some cool fits, some cool jackets.
Nice.
I mean, I'm also.
I would need a stylist at some point, I think.
I'm sure you could find one.
I'm sure.
I'm sure you'd be all right. I'm sure you'd manage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe give it a go. Do 6 months, just 3 months.
In New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so open always to whatever, but I feel like I said, like my intuition will guide me towards what I'm supposed to do. So
Well,
we'll see.
We'll level up that podcast being here. So
this is a kick-ass podcast. Like, oh my gosh, you even have the on air.
yeah.
Did you put up all these?
No. So the venue was set, and then we made it work.
It's so cool, and it's really your vibe too. Like it's
Chill.
yeah.
Fun.
Good
Great.
job.
Thank you. I'll take my small amount of credit for that, and the rest I just got lucky. So
I mean, you've done the work for it too, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of luck, like right place, right time, right
Yeah.
people.
But do you believe that somehow you attracted, like, do you believe that you have had to put out good things into the universe, God, whatever you believe in, for these good things to come in return?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I think. Well, I mean, the core of it, like the first. Let's just, like run it back a little bit. Like my editor, that's my business partner for the podcast. He was like instrumental in getting me set in the city, and he connected me with all of his friends. But he would never have connected me if I wasn't a nice person to him. The 3 or 4 interactions we had when we were in Australia, and then like I was nice to him and thoughtful when I met him in New York. Like it's just like treating people nicely. Ideally, it eventually leads to things
but
happening,
then
and you keep treating people nicely, and it just like spreads. Ideally, you minimize the amount of negative ones you get, but like, yeah, and then that led to random opportunities, and then you can execute and deliver because you're competent in what you say. You do what you say, builds trust, and then that builds into the random phone call that I got in August 2022 that said, hey, they're looking for more investors for this nightclub they're about to open. Do you want to talk to them? And then I call them and they tell me everything, and I go, fuck it. And then being savvy enough to save and have $22,000 just ready to go.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of things, and that's why I'm saying luck. Like, and then the ability to save came from when I was 18, going to my uncle who told me to read Think and Grow Rich. Like it's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
It is a lot of luck, and it's a lot of luck, but it's also like there's a lot of decision making, to read that book and then to start saving 30% of what I earn.
And be nice to these people.
And be nice to people and go, I was a dick. Well, what did I do? Can I do that better next time? And just, eventually it just builds, and hopefully you just can keep it compounding. Hopefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's it. That's pretty much it. So there is a ton of luck.
Yeah.
But what is it? Luck is preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You spoke about listening to your voice and that little gut instinct directing you. How do you do that? Asking for a friend.
I think that we all have an inner knowing, and sometimes when we grow up, we're told, no, you shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't say this. You shouldn't feel that. And then we get taken away from that intuitive feeling. So sometimes it's about peeling off those layers that we've been taught so that we can re-listen to ourselves again.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I think meditation is so powerful because it can help us reconnect with ourselves in that way. Journaling, therapy, asking ourselves. I like to challenge myself in the way I behave, in the way I think. And I think when I can challenge myself and question the way I go about life, when I've questioned myself, I can get closer and closer to my truth.
Yeah.
When I can see all sides of it rather than just the thing that I think.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it's so worth it.
Yeah.
And I think we all have this.
Yeah.
It's just about how far down has it been buried.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would be the list of priorities for someone, say, in a rut that using these tools, and then like specifically how would you use these tools? So would you start with journaling over meditation? What would you prefer? Or like if you're in a real hole, just go see a therapist, or if you're in a real big hole, go for a run and then see a therapist.
Anything.
Yeah. Just start with anything.
The thing that is the easiest, what do they say? The easiest path? The least resistance. The path of least resistance should be the starting point, because the most important thing is that you just do something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us will have ideas, like we'll want to do it perfectly. So it's like, okay, so what should I do and how? And then it's like, because it's maybe not what is easy to us, then we end up never doing it.
Yeah.
So whatever you can do, because then I think everything compound effects.
Yeah.
Right? Like every one of us started with maybe reading a book or maybe meditating or maybe journaling. And then that leads to the curiosity to explore more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of a couple of analogies. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And Mount Everest is just like a bunch of small rocks.
Yeah.
Which I love. That was hilarious
good.
when I heard that.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
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 So it seems as though, how important is the mindset stuff with, getting your head right when you're trying to build a career, and whether you're trying to get healthy and fit and kind of nailing all this sort of stuff. Should you work on your mind first, or just do them both at the same time? Like what's the most important thing to start with, you think, in that combination?
With like physique and mental kind of thing?
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Because one is going to have an impact on the other.
Yeah.
I will say, if you feel like you have none of it right now,
go for a walk.
Yeah. But I'm going to take it further.
Yeah.
Go run as fast as you can, to the point where it gets uncomfortable. Because, and when it gets uncomfortable, keep running for just 30 seconds. Because when you do something that feels that uncomfortable, where you want to just, quit, and you are so out of breath and you feel like you're dying, when you keep going, when you feel that way, you prove to yourself, both physically and mentally, that you are capable and so much stronger than you thought you were of doing these challenging things. And when you have an experience like that, that will lead you to want to maybe do one more thing that is a little bit challenging, and one more thing, and one more thing. And that is what growth is, right? So, yeah.
Building Everest one pebble at a time.
Yeah. And really acknowledging yourself for when you do something. Because I think that, like, then maybe let's say you do that run, but then you're like, oh, I didn't run fast enough. No, you need to celebrate the fact that you did it, and that maybe tomorrow, if you're willing to do it, I started with like 10 minutes a day of just getting crazy uncomfortable. And maybe tomorrow you can run a little bit faster or a little bit further. And then it's like those small progresses lead to just incredible things.
Have you done this run exercise yourself from experience?
Oh, yeah.
Did you just start crying at the end of it or something? What happened?
I felt like my lungs were about to explode. And I still do this.
Yeah.
It's, how people are like, So what did you do to get abs, for example?
Just ran really fast.
I just sprinted. No. But like people think it's this like, once you get there, you're just there.
Yeah.
I have to every single day make those, let's say, challenging decisions. For me, it's not necessarily challenging anymore because it's a habit now, right?
Yeah.
But it is like, obviously I'd rather have the cake than not have the cake. Of course. But I make the decision not to. So it's not like you reach this end destination and then you're just there. It's like so I have to continuously do the sprints, continuously do all of it to maintain it. Because what is it? They say like you're either growing or you're
dying.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
But, and that's also why it's like what we started off by talking about, how I need to continuously be growing to feel as happy as possible. Because if I'm not, I feel stagnant, and there's just something about that doesn't feel. And sometimes growth, sorry, I keep going back to this, but it's just, sometimes growth is like, you got to push yourself, be disciplined with both your work and your fitness and your everything. And other times growth means healing that inner child, where it's like you're more chilled, you're taking some time to rest and not do as much. So yeah, it can look in so many different ways.
Yeah. How do you know when you're going too far in one direction versus the other? Like too far in the go versus too far in the chill. Like what are some indicators?
When it doesn't feel good anymore.
Either direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, of course, there's a time and place where you need to finish a project and you just have to do the hard work.
Yeah.
Or like where you're trying to reach a fitness goal and just feels like hard work. I think that though is a part of the process. You have to overcome those really challenging humps on the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you've if like going too far, if it's like you've been pushing and you reached that initial goal and then you felt like, oh, this wasn't enough, I'm going to keep pushing. Maybe that's when it doesn't feel good anymore, it's time to stop. Because when you have set a goal, I think it's important to go as far as you need to actually reach it, with all the bumps in the way and overcome those like initial, like, I can't do this, it's too hard. But if you keep going for years in that way, then maybe it's time to just like, again, question yourself.
Yeah. Keep challenging yourself,
Yeah.
waking up every day and questioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came here to dance, right?
Yeah.
And that was such a hard thing to be honest with myself about. That's not what I want anymore.
So tell me about this.
I got in really great shape and changed my mentality. Like everything that I share today, it had started, and I had started sharing a little bit more about that. And I remember the day where I told my friend, I am put on this earth to help people be more happy. And at the time I didn't know exactly what that meant, but that just grew and grew inside of me. And the more the passion I felt from that, what feels like my purpose, my calling in life, the less passion I had for dance. And because that dance had been the thing I wanted my whole life, because that was my biggest passion at the time, it was so hard for me to let go of that not being what I wanted anymore.
Yeah. So you let that go, but then there's also the logistics. And like you've made a career out of, the dance, and you got to pay your bills. And how did you navigate the transition effectively without losing the plot?
It actually came natural because I was still dancing and modeling, and then I started content creation, and then I'd gotten a job, and then
Just a normal job or like a
really big good job, right when COVID hit.
Okay.
And that was a job where I would be traveling a lot and things like that. So, and I could have stayed in the city doing it like in a kind of way, but I was like, what is COVID? Like, I want to be back home. Like, I just am. So I lost that job. And then I was like,
well,
no dance jobs, no modeling. Now I'm just going to have to make this work.
Yeah.
And it was one of the biggest like growth spikes I had, because I went all in and I created my first ebook and just all in. And that's where I made my crazy sprints in the morning happen too, because I was like so broke, lost. What am I going to do with my life? That I just needed to. There's something about when we do something so physically challenging, so uncomfortable every single day, that it helps develop such a confidence boost, belief that we could do hard things.
Yeah.
And so I knew I needed to do that every morning. I listened to Tony Robbins every morning. That's when I really started meditating, journaling like hardcore, so that I could believe that I was capable of making this thing happen.
Yeah. So were you bringing in any money in the content creation side of things when you had that flip, or it was just like, oh shit, I don't have any proof that this is going to work, but I'm going to try it?
I didn't at that time, but during that phase, I created my first ebook and I sold a lot of those. So what
was the ebook?
I think it was like How to Get Abs Guide or something. And then it was a training program, and I developed multiple over that year.
Did you, I like digging into this stuff specifically. Did you run, like, what did you do from there? You ran ads? You put it on like,
no, just my social media.
Yeah. Where was your social media at that time?
Instagram. And I started being serious with YouTube as well. Oh, yes. And TikTok.
Yeah. What were your followings at those times?
Okay. So TikTok, I was hired by TikTok when TikTok was still called Musical.ly, or they had just
Musical.ly,
switched or something. Yeah. But they hired me to create content.
Oh, nice.
So that was something I made money off of.
Okay.
Which was like really cool for me.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So basically when TikTok started, they paid creators to make content on the platform.
Yeah.
And then it eventually hit like a tipping point where then people came on and created content for free.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know Snapchat's doing that. Like Snapchat's crazy. Like just giving away crazy amounts of money right now.
Yeah. I heard that too. Everyone's like, you should get on Snapchat. Everyone's saying it. I don't understand Snapchat. I feel like an old person when it comes to Snapchat. And like I understand how they feel when it's like Instagram or something now, because I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of my friends, she came on the podcast a little while ago. Her name's Sophie. Her Instagram's The Oddity. And she is growing a massive following on Snapchat, and all she does is like she goes onto Spotlight. The Spotlight's just like kind of like stories, and she would just like chat, and she'd be like, oh yeah, we're doing this today, or like, hey, look at this random thing. That's it. Just like treat it like stories. That's it. Nothing more.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that I should be, but again, I'm someone who puts so much on my, like I have so many projects always going, and it's like when you work for yourself, you have there's always more work to do. Like you could never, this.
Yeah.
And it's like I need to really not put anything new on my plate unless it's in a complete alignment.
Sure.
With my goals.
Sure.
Because it's so easy to put more on your plate. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I like doing
Sometimes
that.
you gotta, right? Sometimes you should, and I already have like so many balls in the air constantly. So it's like, nope. Also, I'm going to say this on your podcast because accountability, because I've wanted to do this for so long. But one of the reasons I haven't started is because I have so much on my plate. But public speaking is something I really want to do more of.
Yeah.
More of, as if I've done it. I haven't done it yet. I mean, I speak on my platforms.
I mean, it's pretty much public speaking.
Yeah. But like out for crowds. I feel like that is a part of my purpose, something that I'm supposed to be doing. So it's like, I always like, I need to have structure so that I can put on that on my plate. Because I know it's not, like if I'm going to do it, I want to be great at it.
Yeah.
I don't want to just like.
Half-ass it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how are you going to do that?
One, hire a coach, a speaking coach.
Cool.
And create my first talk and reach out to people to see if they want to hear me speak.
Okay. I did an episode with the producer of TEDx Santa Barbara, so maybe I can make an intro.
Amazing.
When you're ready. I don't know where it'll go, but
she
he's the producer for TEDx Santa Barbara.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I do have on my vision board.
There you go. I don't know whether he books the speakers and what the situation is, but when you're ready, you can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that something you ever wanted?
Speaking? I don't know what I want. I'm just vibing.
Great. Well, you're crushing it.
Yeah, I'm just like, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah, amazing. That's a great way to go about life, though.
Yeah, it's
Because you're still
confusing
making
though. It's confusing. Go on.
What's like when you think of the one thing you really want to happen in your life? What's that one thing?
I don't know. There's very loose pillars. Like, I want to make so much money that money's not an issue. I want to be super healthy. I want to have amazing relationships in my life, and I want to live in a place where I'm inspired, and I want to work with people that are inspiring on cool shit. Like, that's kind of the core of it. But the specifics, I'm like,
But then you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm doing great. That's why I'm like, all right.
Yeah, you're happy. You're happy with it.
But I wake up and you might love this. Recently, I changed my background to, hold on, oh fuck, to this, but it's basically the rocket thing from Elon Musk, and then him sending a text saying, "What did you get done this week?"
That's so good.
And I'm like, I saw it on Twitter, and I'm like, I fucking love that.
That's so good.
Yeah, so I put that in my background, and I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck, maybe there's more to this. Maybe this is all fun and games, but like, there's levels to this, and I'm not even close. I feel like I could do so much more, but I just don't.
Do you journal daily?
No, I've stopped meditating. I don't journal. I did all of it, but it became, I was a big morning routine person. You know, I'd get up, I'd cold shower, I had a cold plunge at home in Australia. Like, I'd cold plunge, I'd walk the dog, I'd read 10 pages, I'd like journal, I'd meditate, and then it'd be like 2.5 hours into the day, and I would wake up a lot later than you because I would stay up a lot later. And then I found that I was just playing catch up the whole day. So things have shifted where I'm doing less of the morning routine stuff and like the routine things, and I'm just getting up, getting some water, getting into work. And that seems to be the best way for me to just like
amazing,
just kick into gear.
Yeah.
But unfortunately then it results in like, is direction being lost sometimes? Like, do I need to recenter and refocus? And it's I'm approaching it a bit differently because I've done all of the stuff. Like, I've read all the books. I've done morning pages. I've journaled. I've done the 5-minute journal stuff for years. I've meditated every day for 20 minutes. I've done a Vipassana. Like, I've done yoga for years. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, at what point? I think now I go back to them when I'm feeling off. But I've like internalized. I think I've internalized a lot of it so that I don't have to do it. And like, every day is like a meditation. Like, I'm walking and I'm like meditating, and I make the effort to be, now I make the effort to be in my apartment and be in silence and not have any music playing, just have nothing playing, and just focus on, here's my tasks that I'm doing right now. And I just do that, and I listen to the sounds of that task and how it feels on my hands. And I'm trying to integrate
applying it in your life rather than like a separate something.
Yeah. But it's definitely valuable. Like, recently I went upstate. I did 3 nights by myself, just in a random cabin in the woods. No reception. Was barely on my phone. Didn't look at much outside of like Airbnb app. And I just sat there and I ate food and I stared at the river and I just contemplated.
That's cool.
For 3 days. 3 days was enough. I was like, okay, by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I've stared at this stream for a while now. I'm keen to get back and hang out with some people.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important. Like, just creating space to integrate.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of like downloading and not enough integrating over the years, and especially moving to New York and stuff. Like, it's balancing that integration with the downloading.
Yeah.
Which is really important. So the techniques are very valuable.
Yeah. But I guess if you're like, there should be more to this. Like, I guess it doesn't even have to be a daily thing. It's just 1 hour where you sit down and what is that? Question it until you get to the root cause.
Yeah.
It's not like, it doesn't have to be, it's really just, if you have that thought, okay, let me put an hour on my calendar to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because then you can gain clarity within that 1 hour.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's 3 days. There was like I don't know. Do you ever do mushrooms or anything? Have you done any psychedelics?
Not really, no.
Okay. I did I wouldn't, no, anyone listen to this, don't try this at home. But I've been like dabbling in and out with psychedelics, and I've got to a stage now where I'm pretty confident that to do like a heroic dose of mush. It's called a heroic dose. It's basically like 4 grams. It's a lot. It's super intense. You like lose your state of like it's a lot, but and I'm strong enough to do it alone, which is, so I did that alone, and it's like a really intense in the mountains. Okay. Yeah. Really intense, like reset.
Yeah.
Of like hard reset of the brain. And then I used that time, and I had like, had some music playing, and I'm like getting my little sticky notes and I'm putting them on the wall, and I'm thinking through things and ideas, and I'm doing it tripping.
Yeah.
So that's something I try and do once a year now.
That sounds really cool.
But it's a lot. It's really intense. I wouldn't suggest starting with 4 grams. Like maybe start a lot less.
I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah, well, if you ever need a trip sitter, I can be the trip sitter.
Thank you.
Wouldn't do it in New York though. If I'm overstimulating here.
No.
God no.
No.
God no. But yeah, you make a good point. It's worth digging into that a lot more. But
then again, you're happy right now.
Yeah.
I think there's seasons in life. I think there's seasons where if you found that happiness, to just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
for me, it's like I'd gotten into such a habit of always listening to podcasts or audiobooks when I'm driving, for example. And then at one point it was like, but I just feel good today. I just want to sing. And then just play the freaking loud music and have the time of your life. This is why you've been doing the work. Like I had to find that balance and understand that there are seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's a lot. There's a lot in that. I mean, at the core of it, the last 6 months I moved to a different continent without a job, without a plan, just like an idea and a gut feeling and figuring it out. So there's a lot to integrate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very conscious of that. So we'll see. Like things are developing. Just put the feelers out in the world and see where it goes. But there's so many directions that I guess I don't know which way to take them. There's so many great pathways I could go, but I don't know which one to pick. It seems as though you've got a really good gauge on just like locking in on one thing and just getting it done.
I think that's something that I'm good at, but it's also at certain points of my life gotten me so focused,
narrowly focused.
That it's had me forget about doing other things that may be good for me.
Yeah.
Because I am so focused but I feel like I've this year especially gotten a lot. I guess it's a lot more aware of it and thereby better about it. But I still can fall into it for sure. Yeah.
You know what though? I think the more I like read and understand really effective people, it is just a focus. Being able to lock in and focus on a task. That's a skill that I'm working on developing.
But I love it too. Like I'm so passionate. Like I need it.
Yeah.
I've really, we have like 3 core values in life, and having that passion and creativity, freedom, whatever, there's so many things that go in. It's so important for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
To feel, I think I think we all have our things that we kind of feel like we need to feel at our best. Not that I can't be happy without it, but to feel at my best.
Yeah. And what are they for you? Run me through it. And how did you find them?
I question myself on it.
Yeah. The journaling. It always goes back to the journaling.
Yeah.
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 What are they?
Freedom, love, and passion. And passion is what I'm talking about right now. Of like just passion in like being able to create every day in alignment with my purpose. And love, obviously, connections. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I need it. And that's something I've not always been good about, like prioritizing if my passion has taken over a little bit too much. What I love the most is when I can combine the two, when there's like connections and my passions intertwined. Like if I meet people who I can, like this podcast, it's so fun for me.
Yeah, same.
Because we're talking about like awesome things and it's like together, you know? And then freedom. I need to be free.
Yeah.
Free to do, like I'm the kind of person, if my parents are like in the summer, so what are you going to do for Christmas? I'm like, that is like a lifetime away from me. I cannot. Like I want to wake up in the morning and ask myself, what do I feel like doing today?
Yeah.
Like I do not, even if like I don't want, like with friends, what I love the most is just like, hey, what are you doing right now?
Yeah,
should we hang out right now?
Yeah,
instead of like, what are you doing on next Thursday? It's like, no, we don't know how we're feeling on Thursday.
Yeah, I get that. It's funny. There's I've got an either like you're booking in to see me 3 weeks in advance or like right this second. Yeah. There's no middle ground. Yeah. That's a fun way to live. Like spontaneity makes life interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm reflecting on what you're saying that, you know, I guess we're both sides, similar goals, but just like other sides of the spectrum. So I don't know. I've noticed I'm a little bit more, I think I'm kind of ADHD. And I only recently learned that when I did the Vipassana, like the silent meditation retreat. So I did that. Turns out I probably should have been medicated for like ADHD. And I was like, I've got a funny story where it was like, I met one of my roommate for the thing beforehand, and then we couldn't talk to each other for the 10 days and we'd cross paths. We couldn't look at each other and talk to each other. And then at the end we reconnected and we're like, how was it for you? Blah, 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 blah. And I said to him, like, look, it was crazy. I just sat there for 10 days and like my brain just never shut off. Like I thought maybe after like day 4 or 5 of no inputs, it would chill, but it just didn't chill. And he's like, do you have ADHD? And I'm like, I mean, I jokingly said I might have, but I don't know.
Have you gotten tested now?
Well, this is the thing. And then he goes to me, I have ADHD and I'm taking my medication and I don't feel that. I think one thing at a time. I was like, oh shit. Okay. So that was the moment where I'm like, okay, this is actually a thing. And then I'm like, all right, well, I could get medicated on it, but I don't really want to. I went to my therapist and I explained the situation and we did some tests and she's like, yeah, it's likely. Do you want to do anything about it? I'm like, no, not really. So now it's like, okay, I acknowledge that I potentially have this.
Yeah.
But what are the benefits of it? I think about a million things at one time. I synthesize information about the most weird, craziest like combinations of things that create good ideas. I know a lot about so much random shit because I'm just bored and curious but I can't, but the downside is I can't fucking do hard work, like locked in hard work to save my life. I need everything perfect and no one's talking to me. I need 8 hours to do 2 hours of work because it's just like so challenging to just lock in. So the skill now is embracing the curiosity, but building the muscle and the systems to be able to like lock in when I need to lock in. And there's some techniques I've come to like, there's certain frequencies of sound that tone the brain down, delayed focus. The Pomodoro technique's amazing where you do 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off because it takes, and in that 25 minutes, you make a rule where you're not doing anything but one specific discrete task. And anything that comes up, write it down, do it later. But just the act of this ADHD brain of idea comes in and you go, cool, put it there. ADHD brain of idea, put it there, and you just keep going back to that one task for 25 minutes. You get more done. And the brain, this like using my brain as an example, but I think it's similar for a lot of people with, you know, that are kind of neurodivergent. If there's no limit on the task being done, it feels like it's going to just go on forever and it's overwhelming. And then you get distracted and you get, you know, you're like, oh, I can do this in a bit because, you know, it gets a little bit difficult and then your body is like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I can distract. So the discrete block allows my brain to go, you know what? I can do this for like another 6 more minutes. Then I don't have to do it again. And just that little like...
I think what you just shared is so valuable for so many people. Because I think more people may struggle with what you're saying.
Yeah.
You didn't even know that you had
No.
it. I'm thinking of someone who I know who deals with this,
Yeah.
who I think will find this helpful.
Yeah. It's
That's-
interesting.
Yeah. Aren't there different versions of ADHD?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Okay.
All I know is it's just from my experience without getting medicated, and I've tried medication, and I've noticed, some people it works for them, but for me, I felt like I lost my spark. Like I was super speedy, just like, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I like having a few little ideas popping around in the brain,
Yeah.
but being able to, I think there's a skill to being able to harness that energy effectively.
Yeah.
And now that's what's being developed, but it's not an easy task to do.
No. But what a great strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you can just say to yourself, just be less ADHD, and it's pretty funny how that works. Like
Yeah.
it sounds ridiculous, but you can be like, nah, I'm going to focus on this. And eventually it builds the brain, like the
Yeah.
muscles just to begin to develop.
Yeah. There's also something to acknowledging or understanding yourself. It's like once you understand why you are the way you are, there's a level of acceptance. Oops. There's a level of acceptance, and that acceptance almost makes everything easier
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, this is why. And then
Yeah.
it's just like, it doesn't feel so hard.
Yeah, it's like the tension's released.
Yeah.
And then in the releasing of the tension, it's like, all right, well, it still exists. What am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
But like,
Sorry to bring this up, but it's kind of the same with when women are on their periods.
yeah.
Because it's like suddenly they feel just
Yeah,
everything sucks
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
hurt. Like it's just like, or right before it doesn't, you don't know yet why, and it's
Yeah.
like you think something's wrong with you,
Yeah.
but then it's like, oh, that's why. So then you accept it, and then you're like, oh, I'm not like a freaking like whatever you feel like you are, but just like a terrible human that like something's wrong with. When
Yeah.
you can accept that it's just because like female hormones are going on, then it's like, oh, then you can accept it, and then it's like not as hard.
So is this something that you guys experience every month? Just like, it's just like that. That's so annoying. You're like, fuck me. Yeah. Really? Oh my God.
No. So we could go into this.
We
but
can
let's
go into
not.
it.
No, let's not. But let me just so different women deal with it in different ways. Some women a lot, some not a lot. And you're actually not supposed to have that massive PMS symptoms. Like
okay.
it's typically because other things are going on. So
Yeah.
there's like ways you can better it.
Tell me.
No,
I'm genuinely so curious. I mean, look, at the end of the day,
like it can have to do with stress, food, just everything health related, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the reason why I'm curious is because, I'm single right now, but I'm going to have a partner at some point, and it's good to understand
It
these
is good
things.
for men to
It's
understand.
very important.
And to really just,
Yeah.
it can be so hard for the men too if they don't understand it.
Well, we don't understand it. Just that concept alone.
If you have a partner that maybe isn't self-aware,
Yeah.
and that just like switches, and she isn't even aware that she's swapped, whatever.
Yeah.
The man can be like, wait, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Because if I had done this a week ago, nothing would have happened.
Yeah.
And it's like just understanding that. But I think self-awareness within the female that, oh, it's actually because I have female hormones happening in my body right now. And knowing that, like, I know I'm not being my best self right now. Apologize, like whatever needs to be done. Yeah.
Yeah, the common practice now, anytime I'm in like a relationship or I'm seeing someone regularly, it's like getting the app. There's like the app, and then getting access to like to know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah,
and it's been genuinely helpful because it's like I've noticed, there's certain times of the month where it's like not a good idea to have certain conversations, or it's like approach things in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's helpful, and it makes them feel safer, and it makes them feel like understood a bit better, and makes my fucking life easier. So yeah.
I feel like honest communication and understanding of one another is just like key to good relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And running together. Get
Yeah.
the endorphins.
Running together.
Yeah. Sprinting really hard. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. It's so funny. I'm conscious of time, and I'd love to dig into some more like philosophical rapid fire, not rapid fire, but just like
When you
curious
say rapid fire, it's so stressed.
some more like philosophical views about your thought process and how you've changed over time, and some potential lessons that people can take, because at the core of it, looking objectively, you've made some good decisions in your life. You've built a good business. You've got a lot of freedom. You're healthy. You're happy with, it sounds like you've got good friendships and relationships in your life. And I think understanding how to get there for other people is even if they take one thing from it, it's super valuable. So what's the biggest thing in the last 2 years you've changed your mind on?
This might be, this is only going to relate to some people, but I used to like food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Food. My relationship to food has gotten so much better.
What do you mean?
And I've, just like in one sentence, I used to want to be skinny, and now I want to feel good and be strong.
Yeah.
And understanding why I had the need to be skinny.
Mm-hmm.
I still love to be light on my feet, but I've gained I think maybe this right now, 12 pounds or something. Understanding why, I've gained, I still love being lean because it makes me feel like I can move. I just want to feel good, strong. I still want to feel light because that makes me feel good. I hate eating a meal and then feeling heavy.
Yeah.
But there's just a shift that's happened inside of me. And again, that came back to my worthiness.
Yeah.
And what I grew up believing I should be.
So what shifted? Let's get into some specifics. What shifted in your nutrition that has now resulted in this, stronger, heavier, but still fit
I guess,
outcome?
Yeah. So I'd been dealing with a lot of bloating, which
Okay.
a lot of women I know have been dealing with.
Yeah.
And I tried so many different things. And at one point, I started eating different. I'd been eating low calorie everything, which that saved my life at that point, because the way I'd been eating before was not good. And then the way I started eating was really beneficial to me feeling so energized throughout the entire day. But then the swap that's recently happened is more fattier meats, more nutrition based rather than low calorie everything, and less processed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just whole foods more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ate a steak a day.
That's so good.
So funny. I spend
makes you
so
feel-
much money.
It's so expensive.
It's you say no, I'm eating on $5 a day.
To those, I know. That's the thing. I will say those people who are I want to get in shape, but it's too expensive. I did it on no budget.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's just not
Then
as
we-
fun.
But at
is it?
the time, that's all I ever knew.
Yeah.
You know? So it wasn't not fun. It was
Yeah.
just what I did.
Yeah.
You've
seen the light now.
Yeah.
Though.
So then, just like with your business, with everything, you start at one point and then everything builds and it only gets better from there. Hopefully, if you keep growing.
Yeah.
It's like that with fitness, with business, with relationships, everything.
Yeah. Start small and
Yeah.
build into it.
Yeah.
But damn, I love a good grass-fed steak.
It makes you, it's like, I'm like, did I just take a happiness pill?
Literally. It's so funny.
I can feel straight in and I'm like, life is so good.
It's so good because it doesn't get old. I will eat the last bite of a steak. I do this little dance. I'm like, oh, that was
It's
so
so
good.
good.
And it's literally just a bit of meat,
Yeah.
some olive oil, and
You
a bit of
don't
butter.
need nothing.
So,
You don't need anything. It's so good. But yeah, it has to be quality.
Yeah.
There is something about that.
grass-fed, grass-finished.
Yeah.
Put a bit of rosemary and pepper and salt on the top.
So
Yeah, just for anyone that is scared of meat and has seen something that says, "Oh, meat causes cancer," it's low quality shit that causes cancer. So the studies lumped good quality meats with low quality, like McDonald's, and those one of those cured meats that have been sat in vinegar and salt for 6 months and all that sort of stuff into the same study. But when you separate the high quality meats, grass-fed, grass-finished steak, that sort of stuff, and you don't burn the meat. So the process of burning the meat creates some carcinogenic properties. But if you put a lot of herbs on the top and the herbs burn and the meat cooks, then it doesn't have any issues. So herb your meat, eat grass-fed, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
In case anyone was wondering.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you knew all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but I'm happy you're explaining it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I didn't know all of what you just shared. I learned something new.
there we go.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
that's the point of all of this, right? Teaching each other and doing
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
What's the kindest thing anyone's ever done for you?
Listen to me when I needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I ever need.
Yeah.
I don't need anyone to do anything other than just I am also not good at I'm the type of person that is like, if I'm feeling low, I'll deal with it myself.
Yeah.
But when someone has really been there for me,
So how does someone be there for you?
hear me, accept me, and hug me.
Okay.
They don't have to hug me. It's a plus.
Don't touch me, touch me.
Yeah. That's so true.
Oh, so funny. Well, with those acts of kindness, how have you taken that into your life and changed your decision making and the way you show up?
I try to always be kind to everyone
Yeah.
and accept and understand them. So even if someone, for example, on social media is saying something not so nice, let's say, to me,
Yeah.
I always meet them with kindness, because I know that for them to have time to sit and write something that my intention was positive, they must not be doing well.
Yeah.
There's a difference between constructive criticism, obviously, and then someone just being mean. And I know that that person is not feeling good, so let me give them some love.
Sure.
I don't always do it right. Like
It's hard.
sometimes, but no, as in I always am kind. If I do
okay,
respond,
yeah.
I'm always kind. It's more like if I have I don't. Every time I see a hate comment, it's not like because
I love it.
yeah. No, but if I feel, it's often we were talking about the intuition. I can feel when someone needs that,
Yeah.
and always they're nice in return.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Because they can feel, I think there's a difference between, oh, I'm going to kill you with kindness, or I actually want good for you.
Yeah.
I think people can feel that.
What's an example of one? Does anything pop into your mind of a comment?
No, but I've had every horrible comment, seriously. But it's just when I feel the need that someone needs a little love.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. We all need a little love sometimes,
Yeah.
well,
Everyone always needs a
Yeah.
little more love.
Yeah.
Who doesn't need more love?
Yeah. You're all
Love
needy.
is
You're all
great.
needy. Oh, that's funny. So if you could recommend one book or a podcast or an experience for somebody to read or do, and it's the only thing they could do in their life that would have the most impact based on what you know about the world, what would it be?
Gonna be different for every person, but every single person listening to this knows the thing that they're avoiding, that they have been procrastinating, that they need to do. They know what that is for themselves. And once, it's literally just doing that.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is that maybe that one thing may just take an hour of their time.
Yeah.
But what that does is it leads to something else and
Yeah.
something else. Like you were talking about, it's just like luck. But the thing is, I think that we're all drawn to do this thing because that will lead us to that thing. And we always have the option to not do it. But if our intuition is saying, you should do this. And sometimes that's like just a little voice or a little thought. And you may be thinking like, that was weird. Why did that come to me? But like if it's coming to you, there's usually a reason. And you never know what that is. But I feel like every single thing in my life that has happened has been caused from me taking some sort of action that then has led to the next and the next and the next. But you have to be willing to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do
I'm
thinking of something in my mind right now. I'm like, oh, fuck, I really got to sort that out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. What is it?
It's
You don't wanna
just
share
building out the systems for this podcast studio. Like I've just been putting it off.
Yeah.
Been putting it off. Yeah.
And what a relief it'll be.
Yeah. When I kick it down the road for another month.
It's so funny because often it just takes that hour.
Yeah.
And the heaviness in our minds.
Yeah, it's not even worth it. I've thought about it more.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It is.
Okay. So do the hard thing.
Yeah. And I'm really good with the work stuff. I'll do it right away.
Yeah.
When it comes to like clean your house or like get your car, whatever, it needs oil change. It's like, nah, it's not, because on my priority list, it's so far down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love a good bit of life admin. That's my best way to procrastinate. Everything's clean, everything's organized.
Really?
Yeah. All my boxes are returned. Everything's done. I'm just not doing
But
work.
I need some more of that.
Yeah, that shit's the easy work though. You could get an assistant to do all that stuff. You could just focus on the good stuff.
Hire an assistant.
Yeah.
I mean,
Penilla's hiring.
No, I actually am.
There you go.
I actually am.
Yeah, anyone listen to this? At Pernilla. Send her a DM, a hateful DM. She'll give you a job.
I will love on you every single
I will love on you with a job. So if you could know the absolute truth to one question, what would it be?
I don't know. What? Why did you laugh?
Because your face, you were like, the fuck?
I don't know what because, okay, so the reason I have that face, I think, is because I want to know where I am in 10 years.
Yeah, well.
But then it's like, do I really want to know that though? Because I know I'm going to be somewhere great if I just keep, I feel like the things that you don't suspect, the lows that happen, the things not turning out the way you want it, is typically where the magic does happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think I would want to know. I want to just ride this life with its ups and downs.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yeah. Do you know Rob Dial, the like mindset mentor?
I feel like I've
It's
heard
like
of
a little
that.
podcast. He does like 5
If I
minute
saw
snippets.
his face, I probably would know.
During COVID, I was like listening to him and the Daily Stoic. It's just like every day I was like 2 5-minute podcasts, just like in the morning. And it was during the peak of COVID. We're in lockdown in Australia. Everything's super confusing. My whole business has gone to shit. And he kept going back to this maxim that he had where he says, you can't read the label while you're in the jar. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. Like you kind of have to get out of the situation before you can see the pathway that you're on.
Yeah.
And just kind of keep plugging along,
Yeah.
hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
Sometimes.
The unknown. Sometimes I feel like it's exciting if you work on focusing on the exciting. You are always in control of what you focus on. If you focus on the fears, that's what's going to drive you. If you focus on the gratitude, that's what's going to drive you.
Yeah.
But that is hard.
That is hard.
But it's a muscle
Yeah.
that you can build.
Yeah.
And then you may fall off and then you got to jump back on.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm just using my own life as an example. I'm just focusing on the fearful side of things is kind of where I will default to. And it is an active process of going, no, what are the good things? No, what are the good things?
That's me too.
Yeah.
It's the no, what are, it's, yeah.
Yeah. But it's TBD whether this is going to work better than focusing on the fear. Because I did all right focusing on the fear.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll let you come back to you in a few years.
Great.
Working on it.
Yeah.
Also going to, you spoke about Tony Robbins. Doing,
going too?
Yeah, Date with Destiny.
So
the end of the year. So I could come back on the other side of that and then be like, all right.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah.
It's so funny when you go into like personal development events like this.
Yeah.
They're always like, what can happen? And then you get to the other side and you're like, I'm a different human. And like your plan for your world is just completely upside down.
Yeah, yep. I mean, I did UPW, which is what you're doing.
Yeah. I did it online before as well.
Yeah, I wonder, I'd love to hear whether it's different in person and like whether you get more.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because when you're online, I feel like every time I go to actual events, I've been doing a lot of that the last year or 2 years. It's just the energy in a room. It just does something to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, the lessons come from like that energy, I think, just like it really locks in when you've got like an emotional charge to a concept.
Yeah.
So I think you get a lot more of that emotional charge and the community and just being able to like talk to people afterwards and be like, what do you think of this? And
yeah,
it was so funny doing it in my in my office at home in Australia, and it's like my roommates are just hearing me just like screaming and doing all this.
Which one did you do? Maybe we did the same one.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, I did the same. Oh,
because it was COVID. It was the end of COVID.
But it was Australian time zone maybe, so it might have been different. But I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe.
So funny.
Yeah.
And I'm just like wigging out and my housemate's like, what the fuck is going on in there? Just 3 days just.
Yeah. I actually had COVID when I did it.
Oh shit.
I was supposed to travel to this other thing and then I got COVID and I was like, I saw that there was this event and I like was in this hotel room by myself. I was just like, oh my, yeah.
I think the hotel, getting a room would have been better.
It was good.
Not because then you can just really get into it.
I hope my neighbors weren't.
Fuck them. Honestly, fuck them. Who cares? Yeah. You'll never see them again, but you will see your roommates. That's
true,
the problem.
True. Hopefully you inspired them to work on themselves a little bit.
Just like angry crying. Like,
yeah. Did you cry too?
I cried, yeah.
Oh,
I cried a few times.
Me too.
Yeah, there were a couple of like moments.
Like good and bad, right? Or no?
Nah, I think I'm like, I struggle to cry, but I'm like fine to cry if I have to. Like, but it's just more like, it takes a lot to like, just kind of get through the wall and then it just is a release. It's more of a release and like a happy or a sad thing. Like, it's different. I can't explain it.
I meant more, I both cried out of happiness and then I cried out of sadness.
Oh, I think it was he did some visualization thing that fucked me up.
Yes, it did. For me too. That's literally when I was thinking about the good thing. That's what I.
Oh
no, I think that was both good and bad. Yeah. It was wild.
That shit cooked me.
Yeah.
But it's cool. He's a brilliant speaker.
Yeah.
And
he's the OG. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has played a big role in my beginning of my. Now I haven't listened to him for a long time, but
yeah. Hey, you're the next generation.
What?
You're the next generation.
I hope so. I want to be that.
Yeah, you are.
In a different way.
You already are.
Thank you for saying that.
What do you mean? Like, you're doing it. You're doing the thing. Maybe not.
So are you.
Maybe not the scale, but you're doing the thing. So
baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're an do you know anything about investors or anything?
Not too much.
Okay, that's fine. There's a guy, I saw something really interesting like a little while ago. I was listening. Do you know who Warren Buffett is?
Yeah.
So Warren Buffett, every year he does these shareholder meetings where he sits there for 4 hours and just talks about like all the things he's doing and where he sees the world. He's been doing for like 40 years. And you can go back through the back catalogue and I've listened to half of them. And I'm going through them slowly but surely. And I remember one of them, people get up and speak and ask questions. And I remember this guy gets up 20 years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, and his name's Bill Ackman. Now, he asks this question and he gets answered by, Warren, blah, 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 moves on. Bill Ackman's now one of the biggest investors in the world. Well, has like one of the biggest funds in the world and like it's super famous, but it was like 20 years ago, he was sitting there in the like room asking the questions to the guy who was the guy before him.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Yeah.
It's like the knowledge and the passing of the torch to the next generation.
Yeah. Well, when I started listening to Tony Robbins, he impacted my life on such a deep level that that's how my mission started. I want to be what he was for me, for others.
Yeah.
Both him and other, people like him.
Yeah.
That's like what I want.
Yeah.
I want to help other people in the way they've helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds very exciting.
I came across him by watching his I'm Not Your Guru Netflix thing, and I was like, what the fuck? That made me cry. I was like, what the fuck? What is this thing? And then it was Date with Destiny. So I watched that. I remember I would have been maybe 24. So it was 8 years ago when I watched that. So now I'm finally doing it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll have to
I need to do a
I'll be
date
in
with
LA
Destiny
in December,
as well.
so we can go through it all.
Yeah.
When I get there.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, wrapping it up, is there anything you're excited about at the moment that you want to let the listeners in on?
I'm always just excited about growing more, sharing more.
Yeah.
Always.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is there something you're excited about?
Yeah, Date with Destiny. Yeah, definitely. Checking out West Palm Beach. The podcast is super fun. I'm loving this. Just chipping away with it.
I felt really inspired coming to your studio today.
Awesome.
And also, you were a very, very good host. You make it feel very comfortable. Your questions are just spot on. And I can really see this podcast taking off.
Absolutely.
And I'm very excited for you.
Yeah. You know what you asked earlier, like what is the one thing out of everything, if I could do one thing and do it as a career, if I could do this every day, this is it.
Same.
This medium's so fun.
It's so fun.
I love it.
I love it.
It's really, really cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is also, you probably as well, I love listening to podcasts.
Hey, that's all I do. Yeah.
So it's just like,
yeah.
And having these types of conversations where you learn something at the same time is like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah. Mindset porn.
Yeah, seriously.
Motivation porn.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, we're the
good.
porn stars of the next generation.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's hilarious. Well, yeah. So that's probably it. We'll there's a whole thing mapping out in my brain, but I think the content supporting through the podcast and like the short form stuff is just a foundational pillar that I don't think will ever go away. And the better both of us are getting at creating content and storytelling and communicating, the more it just it amplifies everything else in life. It's cool. It's really interesting.
It is.
Yeah. And every now and again you get these messages of people that are like,
yeah,
that's crazy. It's like XYZ has changed my life fundamentally. And you're like, what? What do you mean? This thing? You're crazy. Like that's how my response. I'm like, what the fuck? People are listening to this?
That's so amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this for you.
Well, you're a part of the journey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I hope there were a couple things that we needed to return on. So I'm hoping that at some point I can come back and we can do it again.
Do it again. Well, you came on what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Do it again in 2 more years.
Perfect.
Yeah. Love it.
2026. Can you believe that? Almost 2027. Wow. Time is flying.
Time's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It flies when you're having fun though.
It is. And that's good.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm just about to finish editing this 6 months in New York reel. And I've been going through the 6 months of footage and putting it together. I'll show you afterwards. But I was going through stuff and just laughing and losing my mind, sending little snippet videos to people that I've met or hung out with in the last 6 months, being I found this. It's so nice. It's crazy. I'll show you later. But just to wrap up,
I feel like New York is a good place for you. I can see why you had to move here.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's my ADHD energy in a city.
Yeah.
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 It's great.
Dope.
So where can people find you if they're interested?
They can find my podcast if they like podcasts, Challenge Your Norm.
Mm-hmm.
With Pernilla. Instagram, Pernilla. TikTok, Pernilla. YouTube, Pernilla.
Oh, you've crushed that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It's my handle's a little bit different.
Okay.
But so my handle is actually PERNLLA, but it looks like an I.
Yeah. Okay.
I tried to get the real thing, but it wasn't possible.
Does that search okay still?
Yeah, it still works.
that's
If you just
great.
search my name, then it comes up. So
That's a good result.
Yeah.
Great. And last question is, what do you think the meaning of life is?
Oh, that's a deep one to end off this. It can be so many things. I'm such a, I just love happiness. So it's to find your version of what that is. And that's going to be different for everyone. And there's no right or wrong way. Your definition may be completely different than what you were grown up to believe. You got to figure out what's your definition of it and then go for it.
Okay. Brunella, thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
you. Thank you for your time and your energy.
Thank you for having me on. This was so fun.
I love it.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. If you enjoyed it, go check out his other podcast and also subscribe to this podcast if you haven't yet. And go check out my many, many other episodes. I've been doing this for a couple of years now and I am loving it. And one of my intentions for 2025 is to do a lot more of it. So remember to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you found this useful, maybe share it with a friend. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I hope you go out there and have a beautiful day. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.